Hello, everybody, and welcome. My name is Gwen Gringheis. I'm the Assistant Registrar, Recruitment and International for the Daniels Faculty of Landscape Architecture and Design. And I'm very pleased that you have decided to join us this evening to learn a little bit more about our undergraduate program in Architectural Studies at the Daniels Faculty. I am going to pass it over momentarily. I just want to give you a few housekeeping details. And so if you have any questions at all during the presentation, which we will start with, please use the Q&A button at the bottom of your screen and you can input those questions there. Once we have finished the presentation, we will be answering all of your questions live. And so I would encourage you, whatever questions you might have, make use of that button at the bottom of your screen, and we would be more than happy to answer those questions for you. So without further ado, let me pass it over to Professor Peter Seeley, who will be walking us through a presentation on the program. Thank you, Peter.
Good afternoon to all of you, and thank you very much, Gwen, for your kind introduction. And it's great that we can spend this time together today. As Gwen mentioned, my name is Peter Seeley, and I'm an assistant professor at the Daniels Faculty, where I have the unique honor to serve as director of the undergraduate honors Bachelor of Arts Architectural Studies program. Now, what does this mean? The University of Toronto is Canada's leading university, and it offers many, many degree programs. You can study engineering and law and business and medicine and science, etc. One part of the University of Toronto is the Daniels Faculty of Architecture, Landscape, and Design. And we offer many different degrees in different subjects at different levels. So for instance, at the Daniels Faculty, we have students studying landscape architecture, urban design, visual studies, which means creating and critiquing art, and also forestry. Among all of the options at the Daniels Faculty, the largest program for students seeking their first degree, which is called an undergraduate degree. So the largest of these options is our Architectural Studies program. And the full name of the degree is Bachelor of Arts Architectural Studies, and sometimes we use the abbreviation BAAS for it. So that's what I'm going to be talking to you about this afternoon. But first, let me introduce myself a little. So I teach at the Daniels Faculty, and I teach courses in several different programs, but most of my time and most of my experience is working with our undergraduate architectural studies students, and so that's the part of our faculty that I know the best. And I'm really honored and I really have the privilege to serve as the director of the Architectural Studies program, which is an absolutely fantastic role because our students are simply amazing. And so it's really a pleasure to get to talk to you this afternoon about our program. Now, what am I going to try to do in this presentation? First of all, I just want to explain to you some things about the Architectural Studies program at the Daniels Faculty. I want to be here to answer your questions, and so in the second half of this meeting, Gwen and I will work through and answer your questions, and that's a really fantastic way for us to tell you more about studying at Daniels. But even more importantly than that, I want to start a conversation about why architecture matters and how you can contribute to shaping our buildings, our cities, and our landscapes. In other words, the role that you can play in your future studies and your future career. This is a conversation that I'm really excited to start today online, but it's one that I hope we can continue in person, hopefully next year, in the building that you see on the screen. And I'm deliberately showing you lots of pictures of the Daniels Faculty building at 1 Spadina Crescent in Toronto. Excuse me, because it's really a fantastic home for our Architectural Studies program. And what I really want you to do is to imagine yourself. So here we're looking at a model of the Daniels building. And if you imagine a model of the building, it's like it's been cut in half or sliced. Half of it has been removed, And now we can see into the building. So on screen, for instance, if I go from right to left, you see we have a tower, some offices, a corridor and stairwell, large amphitheater space, studio spaces, workshop, etc. So, but what I want you to do is to imagine yourself as one of these little plastic scale figures inhabiting, working, learning, and growing in this space. Because you will share this building and you will share the Daniels faculty with a truly dynamic, diverse, and fantastic set of instructors, staff, and students who are drawn from around Toronto, from around the province of Ontario, from around Canada, and from all around the world. Now, why study architecture? So many students are drawn to architecture because it is a profession which combines science and the humanities, calculation and art, building and design, computer software and hand sketching. And we have built our architectural studies program at Daniels to reflect our students' desire to combine these multiple ways of knowing the world and these multiple ways of working. In other words, at the Daniels faculty, your days will be a mix of reading, writing, drawing, working on computer, working to build things in our workshop, and also discussions with your fellow students. And that's really what makes it such a rich and stimulating environment. Now, people also study architecture because they believe that the spaces we live and work in matter. Good housing, well-lit schools, beautiful train stations, and sports facilities all contribute to making our everyday lives dignified and happier. I won't put any of you on the spot this afternoon, but I am sure that each of you can think of places which you feel are special. A family member's house, a swimming pool, a garden, a restaurant, an airport. And by studying architecture, you can understand how choices made by designers have made these spaces the way they are. Architecture is also crucial to combating climate change. The construction industry produces huge carbon emissions, and the buildings which surround us contain enormous quantities of embodied carbon. In other words, concrete and bricks. It took a lot of energy and probably a lot of fossil fuels to produce them. How we can reuse existing buildings and build new ones with the best possible energy performance. These are crucial ecological questions today, and sustainability is one of the central focuses of our architectural studies program. Architecture is also at the forefront of experiments with new computer software, robotics, digital fabrication, and the development of artificial intelligence. The teaching we offer at the Daniels faculty is heavily focused upon technology. We want to learn how buildings are put together, how different materials perform, and how they can be adapted to meet new needs. More and more, with each passing year, we live on an urbanized planet. In other words, most, but by no means all of you, probably come from cities and their surroundings. Cities like Toronto are very special. In fact, they're magical places because they bring together people from all over the world to live and work together. It's very, very special and it's really wonderful. To adapt a common expression, a city is far more than the sum of its parts. But cities also require design and planning to make sure that millions of people can live harmoniously and thrive together. I could go on and on with reasons to study architecture, but I want to end with one more. Some buildings are new, but many others provide us with personal links to the past. It's a very special feeling to stand in a building and to realize that it has witnessed human life for generations. And we can ask ourselves, why are our buildings, our cities, our landscapes Why are they the way they are and not different? The goal of our Bachelor of Arts Architectural Studies program at the University of Toronto's Daniels faculty is to do two things at once. We will prepare you for future careers in architecture and also for careers in related fields like landscape architecture and urban planning, at the same time that we help other students to move into completely different directions in different fields. The Bachelor of Arts Architectural Studies degree is the best possible preparation for becoming an architect, but it's also the best possible preparation for becoming a dentist or a banker or a doctor or a computer game designer or a photographer or a writer or a teacher or a scientist. And I sincerely, sincerely believe that. We are very proud of our graduates who have become architects. And we are equally proud of our graduates who are presently at law school, medical school, in business, in the tech industry, in government, etc. Studying architecture will help you to understand the world we inhabit, and it will introduce you to skills, ways of thinking, ways of working, which you can apply to almost any field of human endeavor. Now, to get a bit more practical, one of the most common questions that I get asked is, what kind of courses will I take? And I know that sometimes it can be hard to imagine the different things that architecture students are asked to do. So let me do my best and try and help. In both fall and winter of your first year, you will have a design studio course. In the fall, in ARC or ARC 100, Drawing and Representation 1, you will study a space in Toronto, like a cafe or a shop. You'll be introduced to the city at the same time you'll learn about the kind of drawings architects make. Then, in the winter, in JAV 101, which is Design Studio 1, you will go through a variety of design exercises, including making a short film about a neighborhood in Toronto, before designing a small building in that same neighborhood. In other words, in both of these courses, you're getting introduced to the city, you're getting introduced to the techniques that architects can use to make their designs. You're learning how to make drawings and use computer software to make those drawings. And then in this winter course, you're also making your own first design of a small building. In the fall of your first year, you'll also take ARC 180, Computation and Design, in which you will begin to learn many of the computer software that are used by architects, as well as some coding. It is very, very hard to know what kind of software architects or anyone else will use 5 or 10 years from now. So our focus is on teaching you how to learn new software, how to become comfortable experimenting and working through different ways of learning new computer technology. You'll also take in fall and winter a history course, JAV 151 and JAV 152, History of Architecture, Landscape, Urbanism, and Art 1 and 2. And those are huge titles, but these courses are meant to introduce you through lectures, through reading and writing, to talking about examples of buildings and cities and landscapes from the past. And what's really rich, again, is the addition of working on drawings and design at the same point that you're learning computer skills, at the same point that you're reading and writing. It makes for really capable and sophisticated graduates. In your first year, you'll also take 2 art courses. So JAV 120, Visual Concepts, is an introduction to a wide range of topics that inform current art practice and critical discourse. It's this really great shortcut, or it's a really great way of learning what artists are up to and what they're doing and why they're doing it right now. And in JAV 130, visual strategies, you'll be introduced to many different media, many different ways of making images that will allow you to experiment and to work on different artistic concepts. In addition to acquiring skills for making art, you'll also really develop a way of working and a way of thinking through making objects and images. I know all of this sounds a bit abstract or a bit complicated, but again, I want you to imagine having a term, a semester with some design, with some computer course, with some history, and with some art. And you'll also have, and this is a course in the winter, I will teach a course called ARC 181, which is a history course on the technologies of architecture and landscape and urbanism. In other words, a course where we think very, very, very particularly about how technology shapes and has shaped the world that we live in. And then to round things out, you'll also take an elective each term, a course that you'll choose from outside the Daniels faculty. And this can be almost anything: calculus, computer science, business, literature, history, geography, languages, etc. The result of taking this many kinds of courses at the same time is the very best kind of university education that you'll get at an excellent university. You're using different skills, developing different interests, using different parts of your brain. And at one moment, you might be frustrated with one thing that you're doing in one course, but also euphoric and thrilled with something that you're doing in another. And no matter what you do for the rest of your life, this kind of variety is excellent preparation. Each of your years as a student at the Daniels faculty will offer a similar but perhaps slightly different combination of studio, computer, history, art, and building science courses. A major feature of studying at the Daniels faculty is what we call the streams. Everyone who comes to Daniels in architectural studies begins in the comprehensive stream. So all our first and second year students in architectural studies are comprehensive stream students. I'm going to explain more about comprehensive stream in a moment, but many of our students will choose or will remain in comprehensive also in their third and fourth year. Other students will apply and try to get in one of three other streams for their third and fourth years. The point of the streams is simply to identify what are your interests, your strengths, your talents, your passions, and to choose your third and fourth year courses based on these. So for instance, we have a design stream that's heavily focused on designing buildings in studio. So courses, for instance, this student that you see on screen is presenting a design for a house. Later, students also design more complicated kinds of buildings. We have a technology stream that, as the name suggests, is focused on the technology of architecture. It's focused on making things with computers. It's focused on the science of buildings, how building structures work, how the ventilation works in buildings, how buildings can be ecologically responsible. And there's a lot of work, and it's really great that we'll go back and forth between the computer and the real world. So on screen, you see students, they've made a roof canopy that can unfold. They made it, they designed it using a really complicated geometry on the computer. And now they've actually tested it by making it at a at like real life scale. We have a history and theory stream, which is dedicated to students who want to really focus on reading and writing and critical reflection and thinking, especially about architecture and its past. And finally, the comprehensive stream, it does a couple of things. It deliberately has fewer required courses, which mean that there's more room for comprehensive stream students to go study other things. So you could be getting an architectural studies degree but maybe you're also getting minors in French and computer science. And by a minor, what I mean is when a student takes a certain number of courses, it's usually a small number, but still a few, in one given subject, it means that on your degree it will say, okay, you've specialized in architectural studies, but you've also completed these requirements for a minor, again, which could be in commerce, or it could be in physics, or it could be, and again, I'm just, there's so many different options at the University of Toronto, but it could be in geography, for instance. And comprehensive stream is really set up to allow that. Comprehensive stream is great for students who might want to be actually focusing their energies to get ready to apply for law school or medical school. We've had students who are really interested in health. And so in architectural studies, they might explore the way that buildings can help or hurt human health. And then for their further studies, they apply and perhaps they've been accepted to go to medical school to become a doctor. Having explained the streams, and I just want to be absolutely clear. I know this is quite a lot of information. I'm giving you this huge overview of a lot. And so I hope the questions and further conversations can help clarify and make sure that everything makes sense. But I also want to show you a few of our special offerings that we have at the Daniels faculty. Students in third and fourth year are eligible to apply for DRIP. And DRIP, or DRIP, is an acronym for Design Research Internship Program. And this provides selected students with a paid 6-week internship with leading Toronto architects. It's a great chance to gain professional experience in a well-planned and well-organized setting. And DRIP, it's deliberately, it has been created as both a paid internship and it's also a course, ARC 495, which means that both Canadian and international students are eligible to take it. The Daniels faculty also has a large number of design builds. And these are summer courses where a team of students will work with the professor to imagine, to design some kind of structure. It might be a small pavilion, it might be a piece of furniture, it might be a small building. And then they will work to build it. And it's a really unique opportunity to go through all the steps of a design process. So here we see a lookout that was built near Lake Ontario. It's a really beautiful structure. And the students worked with the professor to figure out all the different tools and techniques and pieces that they needed in order to make this structure. We also have a wonderful series of courses that travel for about 3 weeks each summer to other places in the world. So I often bring students to Berlin in Germany for a course on architecture and cinema. We've had summer courses in Athens, Greece, in Costa Rica, in Morocco, in Ghana, and other places all over the world. It's a really exciting opportunity for Daniel students to leave Toronto, to see the world. And also, not only are you learning a lot of things while you're there, so these students are learning a lot about Berlin by making films in Berlin, but it's also a chance to reflect and to think about all the different tools and techniques that you've been taught at the Daniels faculty. Where will you find our graduates? Many graduates of the Bachelor of Arts Architectural Studies program decide to stay at Daniels. They apply and are accepted for our professional Master of Architecture degree program. So many people will actually go from the undergraduate to our graduate program. And others, because they're being exposed to landscape courses in the undergraduate, will decide to stay at Daniels, but for a Master of Landscape Architecture. You'll also find our graduates at world-leading universities studying for their Master of Architecture or Landscape Architecture or Urban Design degrees. And we're really, really proud of students who are at very prestigious institutions all over the world. And here I'll note that architecture, it's like law and medicine and other professions that after your bachelor's degree, you will need a master's degree to become an architect. You will also find our graduates, as I've been hinting and as I've mentioned, at law schools and tech companies and studying to become librarians and working in local government and going into business and real estate and development and construction in so many different fields. And I think that's really a testament to the strength of the architectural studies program. Gwen and the rest of our admissions team can provide a bit more information, but I will say a few words just to end right now. I'll say a few words about how you can apply for the Bachelor of Arts Architectural Studies program. And what I want to highlight, what I really want to talk about you right now, or what I want to explain to you right now, are two supplemental or extra parts of the application. One of them is required, you have to do it, and the other is optional. You can choose whether you do it or not. So to apply to the Daniels faculty, you'll go through a kind of standard online application form, giving information about yourself. At a certain point, you have to upload high school marks. And again, our admissions staff can really help guide you through that. But after you've done that first application, you'll be invited to do something called the One Idea submission. The One Idea has a required part, which is you choose one of 4 questions and you write a short text in response to the question that you've chosen. This is a chance for you to demonstrate your ability to communicate through writing, that you can share your ideas in a clear and compelling way. And it's also a chance for you to tell us about yourself, your passions, your experiences. The questions are meant to give you different possibilities of how you can let us know more about yourself. The optional part, and we get a lot of questions about this, and I'm sure we'll have more questions in just a few minutes this afternoon. The optional part is the chance to submit up to 6 images of works that you have produced. We do not require a portfolio. In other words, it's optional because we know that some students have had fantastic high school art classes and others have not, and other high schools might not even have art. Some students have a passion like playing the violin or playing volleyball, which is not easy to include in a portfolio, while others have been making sculptures or paintings since they were very young. So it's up to you if you want to include images with your application or not. How to decide? Again, it's up to you, but if you have works of which you are proud, which help to explain who you are and what your interests are, then please do include them. Also, please do not limit yourself to artworks. Perhaps you've made a rocket in summer camp and you can include a diagram of the rocket. Or you're passionate about cooking and you can photograph different experiments that you've made transforming recipes. It's really an endless series of things, and maybe even playing the violin or playing volleyball, it's possible to produce images that could go into a portfolio. I'm going to end our presentation where we began with our building at 1 Spadina Crescent in Toronto. Gwen is now going to moderate a question and answer session. Please do not feel shy. Please do not hesitate to ask anything. And you're also welcome to contact us by email. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Peter. And for anybody who might be watching the recording, if you do have any questions, I would encourage you to send us an email. You can email us at futurestudents@daniels.utoronto.ca.